Okay, we're now on the last method of solving quadratic equation, which is using the quadratic formula. Each time you solve quadratic equations by completing the square, you follow the same steps. And by looking at these steps, we can find a formula for solving any quadratic equation. Okay, let us try to solve the quadratic equation ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0 by completing the square. Again, for our first step, divide both sides of the equation by a, then simplify. We have ax squared plus bx plus c over 0 all over a. So we have ax squared divided by a. We have x squared. Bx over a, we have b over ax. And c over a, we have c over a. Equals 0 divided by a is 0. Then write the equation such that the terms with variables are on the left side of the equation. So yung constant term natin na c over a, ililipat natin sa right side. We will be having x squared plus b over ax equals negative c over a. Next, add the square of 1/2 of the coefficient of x on both sides of the resulting equation. So in this case, b over a is the coefficient of x. So kunin natin ang half niya and then squared natin siya. We have b over a divided by 2. Then kung ano yung quotient, is-square natin. Okay, b over a divided by 2 can also be written as b over a times 1/2. Kinuha natin ang reciprocal ng denominator natin na 2, 1/2. Then, kunin natin yung square nun. So, simplify muna natin yung nasa loob. B times 1 is b and a times 2 is 2a. Then, squared natin yon. So, b squared is b squared over 2a squared is 4a squared. So, meaning, b squared over 4a squared, i-add natin siya sa parehas na sides ng equation natin. Left and right side. So, we have plus b squared over 4a squared here and also in this side. Then, simplify lang natin yung part na to. X squared, we have x squared minus b over ax plus b squared over 4a squared equals, ito, add natin to. So, LCD niya, we have 4a squared. Then, 4a squared divided by a is 4a times negative c. We have negative 4ac. Next, 4a squared divided by 4a squared is 1 times b squared. Simply, we have b squared. Then, yung numerator natin na negative 4ac plus b squared can also be written as b squared minus 4ac. Next step is to express the perfect square trinomial on the left side of the equation as a square of a binomial. So we have x squared plus b over ax plus b squared over 4a squared. This is a perfect square trinomial, and kung ililipat natin siya into a square of a binomial, we will be having this. Quantity x plus b over 2a squared equals b squared minus 4ac over 4a squared. Next, solve the resulting quadratic equation by extracting the square root. So, take the square root of both sides. Makakancel ang radical sign and ang exponent na 2. We will be having x plus b over 2a equals, kunin natin ang square root na to. So, ang numerator natin, simply ganun pa rin siya, square root of b squared minus 4ac, and our denominator 4a squared is a perfect square. So, square root niya, we have 2a. So, square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 4a squared are positive and negative. Square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Next step is to solve the resulting linear equations. So, to find the value of x here, transpose lang natin ang b over 2a sa right side. So, we will be having x equals positive and negative square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a minus b over 2a. Then, simplify lang natin to. We have x equals Similar fraction sila since pareha sila ng denominator. So, ang denominator natin ay 2a. Then, simply copy lang natin yung numerator. Positive and negative is square root of b squared minus 4ac minus b. And this numerator can also be written as negative b positive and negative square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And this is our quadratic formula. Okay? If a x squared plus bx plus c equals 0, where a is not equal to 0, then this quadratic formula gives the solutions of that quadratic equation. Okay, sige, try natin. Solve the quadratic equation 2x squared plus 8x equals 10 using the quadratic formula. So, kung gagamitin natin ang quadratic formula, always remember na ang una nyong gagawin is to find the values of a, b, and c. So, for us to do that, lipat natin siya sa ating standard form. We have 2x squared plus 8x minus 10 equals 0. So, in this case, our a is 2, b is 8, and c is negative 10. Then, simply, substitute lang natin siya sa quadratic formula natin. We have x equals negative b positive and negative square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So, we have x equals, b natin is 8. So, square root of, again, b is 8 minus 4. Our a is 2. C is negative 10 all over 2 times a natin is 2. Simplifying, we have negative 8 positive and negative square root of 8 squared is 64. Then negative 4 times 2 is negative 8. Negative 8 times negative 10 is positive 80. Then 2 times 2 is 4. Again, we have x equals negative 8 positive and negative square root of 144 all over 4. Simplifying again, we have x equals negative 8 square root ni 144 positive and negative 12 all over 4. Then, solve lang natin yung two values of x. If 12 is negative, we have negative 8 minus 12 over 4. And if 12 is positive, we have negative 8 plus 12 all over 4. Then, simplify lang natin. Negative 8 minus 12 is negative 20 all over 4. Or simply, negative 5. In this one naman, negative 8 plus 12 is 4 all over 4 or simply 1. And therefore, the roots of the equation are negative 5 and positive 1. Okay, next example, x squared plus 3x minus 18 equals 0. So, in this equation, our a is 1, b is 3, and c is negative 18. Then, substitute lang natin sa ating quadratic formula. We have x equals negative 3, positive and negative square root of 3 squared minus 4 times 1 times negative 18 all over 2 times 1. Simplifying, we have negative 3, positive and negative. 3 squared is 9. Negative 4 times 1 is negative 4 times negative 18 is positive 72. All over 2 times 1 is 2. So, we have x equals negative 3 positive and negative square root of 81 over 2. And square root of 81, we have positive and negative 9. Then, solve lang natin si x if 9 is positive and if 9 is negative. So, we have, if 9 is negative, we have negative 3 minus 9 all over 2. And if 9 is positive, we have negative 3 plus 9 all over 2. Simplifying, negative 3 minus 9 is negative 12 over 2 or simply negative 6. This time naman, negative 3 plus 9 is positive 6 all over 2. Simply, we have 3. So, therefore, the roots of the equation are negative 6 and positive 3. There you have it, the different methods of solving quadratic equations. I hope that you learned something today. See you in our next video. God bless and keep safe, Batang Ayes.